Severe warning. The clock is ticking. Iran is arming up. We need to read the clues. In Iran, they're advancing a October 7th scenario against Israel. And today we'll expose Iran's secret plan in an attempt to erase Israel, a special investigation. Now, even though the war lasted only 12 days, it is shaking this regime, which is required to reshape its security doctrine and its preparedness for the strategic confrontation with Israel. And thus, Iran is rehabilitating its missile program and increasing the range of its missiles, advancing rehabilitation and build-up program for Hezbollah, and senior regime officials are pressuring leader Khamenei to approve the development of once again a nuclear weapon. Now, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps in Iran is sending threats in Iranian show of force. Iran announced that it fired cruise missiles, ballistic missiles, and UAVs at a mock target in the Gulf of Oman as part of a Revolutionary Guard Navy exercise. This is how Iran learns to build a deadly bomb, right under the West's nose. And today, we'll dive into the worrying messages from Iran and Turkey towards Israel. Now, within 8 months, another campaign is expected against Iran, and it will focus on the regime. What is the future in the Middle East? The forecast for the disintegration of the Ayatollah's regime within about 2 years, why the Ring of Fire strategy is not expected to change anytime soon, and what will happen to the front with Hezbollah the day after in the Middle East. Let's get started. A lot is ahead of us, and there is a lot to cover. I'm Mati Shoshani, bringing you all the up-to-date information on Boots on the Ground in the Middle East edition. And as every time in this live, we look to the near future in the Middle East and try to understand whether we're the opening or renewed war between Israel and Iran. Today we'll focus on the internal situation of Iran. We'll start with a headline that somewhat proves why you shouldn't mess with the God of the people of Israel. Water reservoirs in Tehran are plunging to a decades-long low. Iran is facing the worst drought year recorded since measurements began about 60 years ago. Now, data from the authorities in Tehran reveals a dramatic drop in reservoirs and precipitation. Iran's president, Masoud Pezeshkian, warned the capital may become uninhabitable. Tehran sends a strong message to the world. While Tehran declared extensive defensive and ground maneuvers and conducted tests of air defense systems, it denied any offensive missile activity. Assessments in Israel point to a move that may occur before the end of Trump's term. Iran announced that it fired cruise missiles, ballistic missiles, and UAVs at mock targets in the Gulf of Oman, which were destroyed according to their reports with high precision, as part of the Revolutionary Guard's Navy exercise. In another anti-terror warfare drill, it was claimed that a message was conveyed to the regime's enemies: any mistake will lead to a resolute response. In the background, concern that Tehran is arming up for the next round with Israel. A secret technological cooperation revealed between Moscow and Tehran grants Iran the ability to conduct nuclear tests in the shadows using advanced lasers. The goal? To reach an operational bomb without leaving any traces, and ultimately a hydrogen bomb. And of course, Iran is planning to go global to the entire world, the global shadow war of Iran. The revelation that Iran's attempting to harm Israel's economy through Thailand joins a series of worldwide actions. From Venezuela through Mexico, from Australia to Sweden, Iran operates influence mechanisms on Shiite communities and media outlets in dozens of countries. Tehran is exploiting the chaos in Sudan to establish a military foothold in the Red Sea, supply UAVs and electronic warfare, and set up a new, old smuggling corridor to the Gaza Strip. The goal, of course, is completing a choke ring around Israel and creating a strategic threat to shipping lanes. This is excellent, so remember, we'll start with a look inside Iran and then go out to the activities of the Revolutionary Guard Corps across the Middle East and what awaits us in our neighborhood, the Middle East. Once again, I'm Mati Shoshani, and today I will bring you the whole truth about what is happening in the Middle East. We're boots on the ground live from our neighborhood, the Middle East, the hottest neighborhood on the planet. 1 second before we begin, I want to call to you to continue to spread the truth. Share and follow us. It's very important that you share the truth and pass our content to as many people as possible. Day by day, we fight propaganda against Israel and the fake news, and to fight all the lies, we need you. So leave a comment, hit the like, and most importantly, share and follow us so that you stay aligned to the truth in real time and never miss boots on the ground. So let's start, in general, with what's happening in Iran. Iran is facing one of the most severe water crises in history, with official data published in recent days that indicates a sharp deterioration in rainfall and a dramatic drop in reservoir volumes. Rama Habibi, a senior official at Tehran's regional water company, revealed in an interview with Iranian media that in the third month of the autumn season, only 1.7 millimeters of rain fell in Tehran province, a figure representing a 96.5 drop compared to the same period last year. According to the Iranian IRNA news agency, Tehran's main water reservoir currently holds only 170 million cubic meters, compared to 381 million cubic meters in the same period just last year, a decrease of more than 55%. For comparison, in Israel, the average consumption, domestic and industrial, stands at about 20 cubic meters per person per month. According to the spokesperson of Iran's water industries, the volume of water in reservoirs and dams across the country stands at only 32% of their capacity. In Tehran, the situation is even more severe. The dams in the capital area are filled to only 9% of their capacity. These figures reinforce the authorities' assessment that this is the worst drought in Iran since systematic measurements began 6 decades ago. Due to the deteriorating situation, the authorities in Iran are taking a series of emergency measures to preserve the remaining water, reducing water pressure in various neighborhoods, transferring substantial quantities from regional reservoirs to the capital, and instructing the public to prepare for disruptions, from installing storage tanks to using pumps and additional equipment that will allow them to withstand periods of acute shortage. This month, Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian warned that if the drought continues and the rains do not arrive by winter, Tehran residents may be forced to evacuate their homes. Other officials cautioned that in the absence of a solution, the capital could become uninhabitable. This blow joins the many blows Iran has absorbed: the crashing economy, the war with Israel, and the loss of public trust in the regime. So how, after all this, is the Islamic Revolution still alive and kicking? How fragile is the Ayatollah's regime today? Really? I'll say this: it's a theory that both I and many experts now embrace regarding the state of the regime and the manner in which it will fall. We estimate that the collapse will occur gradually. It could be that its people will begin to devour one another, or that there will be finally an effective public revolt, or that both will happen at the same time. There may be a civil war that could even spiral into a bloodbath like we saw in Syria. In my view, this will happen soon, within about 2 to 3 years. The consequences of such an event would be far-reaching. So inside Iran, the social situation is unraveling, and there are many problems that their terrible government is not addressing. We all continue to pray that the Revolutionary Guards in Iran will collapse thanks to the people, but until then, we'll continue to report to you on everything happening in the Middle East. And now, we'll shift our gaze to what Iran is doing on a military level. Look, contradictory messages are coming out of Iran regarding the restoration of its defensive capabilities along the western border after it suffered heavy damage to military infrastructure during a 12-day war with Israel. According to a report in Asharq Awest, while Tehran announced extensive defensive and ground maneuvers in the northwest of the country and conducted tests to air defense systems in the south, it simultaneously denied any offensive missile activity. The Revolutionary Guard confirmed the start of air defense tests in the coastal Mashhad district, which will continue until December the 12th. The authorities urge residents to ignore rumors and avoid spreading footage in an attempt to restore public confidence harmed by criticism of air defense performance during the last war. Conversely, officials in Israel warned that Iran is rapidly expanding its capabilities. The Director General of the Ministry of Defense, Amir Baram, noted that all fronts remain open, and linked the rapid deployment of the Magen-O, or Iron Beam laser system, in October 24 to Hezbollah's UAV attacks. Bahram presented Israel as a defense tech nation, citing advances in the Arrow 4 and Arrow 5 defense systems. Assessments in Israel indicate that the government may pursue a strategic goal of forcing the Iranian regime to respond or collapse before the end of US President Donald Trump's term. This is against the backdrop of concern that Iran may be soon be able to produce more than 2,000 missiles for simultaneous launch. Yes, you heard that right, missiles, 2,000 of them. So 1 second before we talk about the restoration of Iran's missile array, continue to spread the truth, share and follow us, and most importantly, don't forget to click the subscribe button so that you stay aligned to the truth in real time and never miss another episode of Boots on the Ground. Did you know you can invest in one of the world's most innovative economies, the nation of Israel, just as easily as you invest in American markets? And that's why today, I'm excited to introduce you to our friends and sponsors at Wise Money Israel, who I've personally known and trusted for many years. Now, their CEO and his family are longtime friends, and I trust them completely. Now, whether you're looking to elevate your 2026 investment strategy, or possibly diversify internationally, or even just support Israel in its economy, Wise Money Israel offers professional guidance to help you participate in one of the world's most dynamic markets. SEC-registered Wise Money Israel manages Israeli stock and bond accounts for investors from over 30 nations who want to capitalize on Israel's position as a global innovation powerhouse. Their Israel-based professionals provide expert access to companies in Israel's traditional and high-growth sectors. As of today, Wise Money Israel manages about $100 million in client assets with integrity and biblical focus. And if you're looking to fulfill your biblical mandate by supporting Israel, we highly recommend that you reach out to them. So click the link below or visit wisemoneyisrael.com/TBN. Again, wisemoneyisrael.com/TBN for a free consultation today. Iranian media reported today on ballistic and cruise missile launches carried out by the Revolutionary Guard Navy as part of an exercise in the Persian Gulf region. According to the reports, this is a 2-day exercise that already began yesterday, intended to deter foreign threats. Those are their words. Iranian reports claim that as part of the exercise, there was a massive launch of cruise missiles of the Qadr 110, Qadr 380, and Qadr 360 models, as well as a ballistic missile of the 302 model. On Iran's state channel Press TV, it was claimed that the missiles hit mock targets in the Gulf of Oman and that all targets were struck with high precision. The report stated that UAVs that took part in the exercise struck targets simulating enemy bases, and that these too were destroyed in the drill. The channel claimed that on the first day of the exercise, Iranian Navy ships sent a firm message with warnings to American vessels operating in the area. The Revolutionary Guard Navy said the exercise also emphasized increased use of artificial intelligence capabilities and the uncompromising spirit and resilience of Iranian sailors in the face of any threat. End quote. The latest military exercises come amid rising tensions over reports that Iran is working to restore its military capabilities, particularly its ballistic missile array, which was severely damaged in the 12-day war with Israel last June, and lingering questions around its nuclear program, which US President Donald Trump claims was completely destroyed, but which Tehran itself has denied repeatedly, leaving many questions about the capabilities that survived the American and Israeli joint strikes on nuclear facilities. In recent weeks, questions have also arisen as to whether, in light of Iran's renewed armament, another round of military blows between it and Israel could occur sooner than expected. I'm sure you're asking yourself, why? After Israel dealt Iran a blow in 12 days, after all, Israel weakened Iran, so what is the future concern? So I want to take you into the threat scenario hovering over every Israeli's head. But 1 second before, I'm reminding you to share content, to be the ambassadors of truth. I'm asking you, really send our reports personally to people you know that care about the truth. because together we'll spread that truth. And if you haven't clicked the subscribe button until now, this is your time. Until today, the nuclear truth was subject to one iron law. An operational bomb requires physical proof, an underground test, a man-made earthquake, an open seal the world can all see. However, tightening technological cooperation between Russia and Iran threatens to cancel this law and turn the deadliest weapon into something that's invisible. The report in the Financial Times on the presence of scientists from Iran's SPND unit in Russia is the tip of a much larger iceberg, the acquisition of critical technological know-how with one aim: to perfect Iran's bomb design without leaving any traces. The central challenge in building a nuclear warhead is not the raw material, but the absolute precision of the detonation mechanism. For the bomb to work, the outer conventional blast must compress the fissile core in perfectly symmetrical fashion, a task akin to calibrating 1,000 clocks to ring in the exact same nanosecond. Failure in this precision leads to failure of the bomb. In the past, the only way to prove such precision was via an underground explosive test. But Iran, especially after the 12-day war that proved Israel's air superiority, cannot afford to do that. Here Russia enters the picture with a Soviet nuclear solution, using massive laser facilities. This technology, identical to that held by the United States, allows imaging within a nanosecond of the process of compressing the explosives. In this way, Iran can prove that the engineering design of its detonation mechanism purely works, without blowing anything up and without wasting precious nuclear material. In effect, Iran is moving to tests in the shadows. But Russian assistance doesn't end there. The acquired know-how is also relevant to fusion research, granting Iran indirect access to tools that would allow it to leap to the next generation of nuclear weapons, the hydrogen bomb. The Russian help is not just a manual for a fission bomb, it hands Tehran the keys to a thermonuclear device 1,000 times more powerful. In addition, the cooperation includes critical knowledge on navigation, guidance, and satellite technologies, essential for the accuracy of the ballistic missiles meant to carry the bomb. Russia is ensuring not only that the bomb will work, but that it will reach its target with high certainty. For Israel, the Russian move is an attempt to seize control of managing the Iranian nuclear crisis, raise the costs of an Israeli strike, and allow Iran to play with the boundaries. In response, Israel changed tactics. Instead of focusing on destroying fortified facilities, the effort now is logistical paralysis, sustained strikes on the supply chain for centrifuge components and precision missiles, alongside doubling the intelligence effort. But everyone understands that this strategy only delays the inevitable. The Russian assistance is not a bartering deal. It is a transfer of secret keys that enables Iran to run towards the bomb while the West is relatively blind. In this arms race, Iran and Russia are trying to turn off the lights, which requires Israel to act while they're still on. We'll continue to report on Iran's shadow war. Let's move on to the global activity of the Revolutionary Guard. Just 1 second before, don't forget to share our content and spread the truth. Anyone following Iran's worldwide activity should not be surprised. Iran operates sophisticated mechanisms that allow it to expand its influence far beyond the Middle East. And while Israel and other countries focus on Iran's moves in the region and on its force building in nukes and missiles, Iran enjoys wide freedom of action. This rests on its influence over Shiite populations around the world via educational and religious systems it controls, as well as a broad network of media in many languages controlled by the Iranian Broadcasting Authority, or the IRIB. While global attention is directed to Iran's familiar fronts in Gaza, Lebanon, Syria, and Yemen, a new dangerous front is taking root under the radar in the heart of Africa. The brutal civil war raging in Sudan has become a smokescreen behind which Tehran is building a military foothold that threatens to change the regional balance of power. The conflict in Sudan is being waged between two generals who were once partners in a military coup and are now fighting for control of the country. On one side, stands the official Sudanese army, or the SAF, led by General Abdel Fattah el-Burhan. After nearly collapsing and being denied assistance by the West and Israel, el-Burhan turned to Iran, which now supplies them with UAVs and military equipment in exchange for bases and ports. On the other side are the Rapid Support Forces, RSF, a ruthless militia led by General Hemedti that came out of the Janjaweed forces in Darfur. The RSF funds itself by seizing Sudan's gold mines and smuggling the gold through global networks supported by actors from Russia and the United Arab Emirates. Surprisingly, Russia and Iran, allies on other fronts, support rival sides in Sudan. Russia is unwilling to give up its control of gold through the RSF, while Iran covets a strategic port that the Sudanese army can grant them. This points to the immense strategic importance Iran assigns to this arena. Iranian involvement began with supplying advanced UAVs to the Sudanese army, including the Muhajir 6 and the Abdil 3 models, which enable precise strikes and intelligence gathering. RSF forces report that the drones apparently operated by Iranian experts changed the balance of power in the capital, Khartoum. But Iranian assistance does not end there. Tehran also supplies electronic warfare capabilities, allowing it to disrupt GPS signals and satellite communication on the Red Sea area. In doing so, it creates an intelligence gray zone that shields its smuggling routes and global shipping lanes. At the same time, it uses Sudanese gold to create a shadow bank that funds its operations without fear of sanctions. Iran is stepping on very sensitive toes. Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman also viewed Sudan as a strategic asset, and by aligning with el-Burhan, Iran is directly undermining both the Saudi and the Israeli plan to create a stable anti-Iranian zone in the Red Sea. Iran's growing presence at the Sudanese port confirms exactly this, that the docking of Iranian warships is intended to establish a naval logistical hub that will serve as a refueling station, a maintenance center, and a listening post. The overarching goal is logistical support for the Houthis in Yemen and the restoration of the historic smuggling axis through Sudan and Egypt, which in the past was used to transfer rockets and weapons to Hamas and Islamic Jihad in Gaza. In parallel, Iran exploits the chaos to conduct barter deals of oil and weapons in exchange for Sudanese gold, thereby circumventing economic sanctions. All these actions attest a coherent Iranian plan to turn Sudan from a fractured local power into a functional satellite state, at the heart of Tehran's global strategy. Iran moves in Sudan directly harm the interests of Saudi Arabia and Egypt, which view the Red Sea as an essential security and economic asset. Israel is not choosing a side in Sudan's civil war, but it is taking a determined stand in the war against Iran. Israel is also concerned about the emergence of a new southern launch wing for UAVs and long-range missiles. Now, according to foreign reports, intelligence coordination between Israel, Egypt, and Saudi Arabia has dramatically intensified to monitor every Iranian move and block the overland smuggling axis. In parallel, the United States continues to choke funding via sanctions on gold smuggling networks, and if the new hint by bin Salman to Trump in their White House meeting is any indication, it seems there's yet another player in the arena. Now, while Israel avoids choosing a side in the civil war, it is taking a resolute stance against Iranian entrenchment. Sudan has become a laboratory in which Iran tests how far it can push the limits of its influence in the Red Sea. If Tehran succeeds in establishing a port there, a smuggling corridor, and a UAV hub, Sudan will become a new and dangerous southern front in Israel's broader campaign against Iran. And the real question is not what Iran is doing in Sudan, but what Israel will do about it. That's our report for today on what's happening in the Middle East. Today we dove together into the warped doctrine of Iran's revolutionary guards. Keep praying for Israel, pray for the peace of Jerusalem. I was Mati Shoshani, and this is Boots on the Ground Live. I'll see you guys next time. Hello, this is Mati here in Jerusalem with TBN Israel.
This is Yair Pinto from TBN Israel here in Jerusalem. TBN Israel is keeping viewers informed with Israel-focused news, culture, and what God is doing in this land.
Support TBN Israel today online at TBN.